Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2, and today I'm going to be giving you part 8 of What If Naruto was banished and make Konoha regret it. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto was born 6 years earlier with the Mokiton and the Sharingan, and enjoy that guys. And remember, if you're new, yes I indeed have 4 channels which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. Link will be down in the description, so go ahead and check them out and yeah, enjoy. And don't forget to comment down below and tell me for news so I can reply and talk back to all of you guys. And also turn on the bell notification to see exactly when I post. So without further ado, let's jump right into this brand new episode. Begin now guys. So the last spot we left off, the day was going to be a magical day, as Gaara and Conqueror was outside, tendering to the guests. While they were doing that, Naruto and Temari was in bed, rustling around into another, as Gaara came knocking, telling them that it was almost time. Temari took her gown as she left out, as Naruto went to go and get changed as well. It did not take too long for Naruto to be walking down the aisle, in his uniform that he was going to be married in. The several people that were there, especially the girls, looked towards him, but they knew that he would now be and forever be taken. So with that, Naruto stood at the aisle as he waited for her. Her coming down, she was nothing but magical. As Naruto looked towards her, the woman that he loved, she soon approached as the both of them said their vows. After Gaara announced the both of them man and wife, the both of them share a loving kiss. As there were several gifts that Temari and Gaara had in, well, mind. It turns out that the ramen family was now here. Temari had handled everything after dropping a hint to them that Naruto was alive, and they were now here in the stand, and she made sure that their shop would be accustomed in a popular area of the, well, hidden village. Naruto had tears in his eyes as he saw them, as he hugged both Ayame and Toki. Hugged them for everything that he's got, as he's missed them. He's missed them really. The both of them were happy to see him as they told him to sit down. It's been a long time since he had eaten any of their ramen. As Naruto sat down his belly, already rumbling for ramen. Also, Gaara gave them a key that led to a house. They were married now, it's about time that they had a house to themselves. Naruto wanted to turn him down, saying that it was a bit too much, but Gaara was having none of that. Later that night, the couple was able to spend their first time together. It was everything that the both of them ever dreamed of. Some time passed after that. Everything was wonderful for the both of them. However, with the Chunin exams coming up, they had to be preparing. Yes, they had to be preparing the Chunin exams coming up, as Temari was busy a lot. However, Naruto and her find time to be together, as the both of them went out late to eat one night. When there was a young girl lost, as Naruto was quite upset in the envoys for not doing anything, telling them once again that the village was all of them, not just the buildings and the road. The village was them, the people here. He was quite stern with that, as he got the girl back to her father. As him and Temari also spoke about children that night. The next morning, Temari had to go and meet the delegates. She saw them, the ones from Konoha. The only person that she was happy to see from Konoha was none other than Sunady, as she did not pay Jiraiya any mind at all, or seeing that. Shikamaru was there with Sasuke, but she did not even glance his way. However, both her and Naruto got into an argument. Maybe Naruto's mind was too stressed with the whole Konoha ninjas here. It's been a long while. Naruto has tried to blot them out of his thoughts. However, the both of them caught up in a little argument. But every couple fight, now and then. But still, he was rather upset at going off a bit on her. Angry with himself for that. But his mind was focused on the Konoha ninjas and not to mention the security protocol that he had to keep to make sure that no one would try to invade the exams. As it brought back his thoughts to years ago in the Chunin exams of Konoha, he wouldn't allow that to happen here. Not to mention Sakura and the others were also there as well. So yeah guys, basically that's what I thought. If you guys can switch across to please check out for yourself, and also don't forget to go ahead and check out the new what ifs over the other channels. Yes, I indeed have 4 of them guys, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead, check them out, and yeah, enjoy. So without further ado or wasting more time, what do you say we jump right into this brand new episode begin now guys? Both Baki and Dragon arrive as Naruto was waiting on them. Seeing the both of them, he spoke. Baki, Dragon, call every shinobis under your command. Together under the tower, said Naruto. Everyone? The both of them stuttered. It has only been a minute since the event with Temari that led to their little argument, as Naruto was still not happy. Did I stutter? He said. The both of them shook their heads no, as they saw that he was in no mood for any questioning today. In 30 minutes. Now go, said Naruto. Both men did not hesitate as they quickly made their way out of said room. As Naruto turns attention back towards the file in front of him, his mind was still on what happened this morning between him and his Heim. Around 25 minutes later, Naruto started to walk down the hall as several people moved out of his way. There was something about him, he seemed off. However, the two shinobis had performed exceptionally well, as the both of them seemed to have moved rather fast. They panted, they're all here. As Naruto nodded as he turned his gaze towards all the shinobis, who was mumbling and talking amongst himself. Is there something that you all have more interest in than paying attention to your commander, who is standing in front of you, ready to speak? Naruto asks. They all turned their attention towards him. No, Namikaze-sama, they all said. Tora, Nico, Inu, Tori, step forward, said Naruto. The 4 that came out of the crowd knew exactly why he was calling them. I was out last night with my wife when we came across a crying lost girl on the street, no older than 5 years old. In the dead of the night, she was scared and alone, not knowing where home was. The 4 shinobis swallowed thickly as Naruto's eyes roamed over towards them. These 4, he said, could not even spare a second of their time, despite it being 4 of them, to try to help the crying child. They obeyed the rules of their commanding officer perfectly, choosing the mission over the little girl. Now, I have a small question for all of you. Do you think they made the right choice? Naruto asks. Those who do, please raise your hands. As Naruto watched all of them, almost 80% of the hands that were raised included said Anvo Commander and Jonin Commander as well. I see, said Naruto. Those who did not raise their hands, please move to the left side. As Naruto noticed those that they were newly made genins, all of them looked nervous as they thought that they made the wrong choice. He then turned towards the rest of the forces as they thought they made the right choice. I am ashamed to call myself your commander. I guess I am not a capable leader. Immediately they broke out in protests, saying that it was not true. As Naruto raised a hand, silencing them. Think that all of you were in these 4 places, said Naruto, looking towards the envoys that stood near to him. Think that the girl was in the hands of some psychopath or rapist. All of them swallowed thickly as they now start to truly understand what he was saying. And now, think that you were in the place of reporting to me the next day what happened when you find the mutilated small child, and that you have to report that you saw her last night, but instead of helping and sparing a few minutes of your time, you decide to ignore the small child walking in the dead of night. Shame starts to hit them right away, as they now fully understand the entire whole situation. And then you had to report it to the father whose child suffered such a fate, when it was in your hands to do something that would have changed that young girl's fate. They all averted their gaze. Now I ask, how many of you would have chosen the rules over the girl's safety? Not a single one of them raised their hands. As Naruto nodded his head at that, now you understand what it means to be a shinobi. All eyes look up towards him. Rules are what are set in place to ensure the stability of the village. However, you people aren't tools, you're shinobis. You have minds, you have heart. Use them and think before you make a choice. If a situation like last night was to show itself ever again and you all made the right decision to help the poor child walking the streets, I would be proud to call myself your commander, said Naruto. Fire burned within their eyes hearing his words. As Naruto had noticed that since he arrived at this village, it was a lot different from majority of the villages. The old Kage, that was not Gaara, his father to be exact, or the third Kage, while they were powerful men, known to be the leader upholding the power of the village, they were heartless. There were some reports that Naruto had read from the past that made his blood run cold. Several of these incidents involved in civilians, where a little shinobi help could have caused a major difference. However, the Kage did not see it as such, because in their minds, if you were not a shinobi, you were not that, well, important. Yes, being a shinobi fighting for your village was a good thing. However, civilians were still a part of the village. They are the ones that they fight for. They are the ones that they protect. And they are the ones that they risk their life each and every day to make sure they kept them safe and the village as well. As Naruto spoke out loud once again, every civilian, shinobi, child, or adult are our responsibility. Take out your hand to help each and every one, whether they be clan heads or a civilian. His voice rang through the crowd as they realized and understand the small discrimination that he was trying to get removed out of their ranks by the statement. My sensei did not teach me much, but the first lesson that I live by to this day, even if him himself did not adopted it. They all listen intently. Those who abandon rules in the shinobi world are scum, and that is true. But those who abandon their comrades for their rules are even worse than scum, said Naruto. Each and every one in the sand is our comrade and our responsibility. From this day on, I should not hear reports that we lost someone to fulfill the mission. If it does not work with plan A, then follow plan B. A hand raised up from the crowd. As Naruto turned his eyes towards her and nodded, it was a female Chunin. Despite raising her hand, at least being acknowledged by him, it made her blush. Once again, Naruto was showing something that previous Kazekages, Gaara excluded, was never shown to be doing in the past. If this was a past with either the third or the fourth, she would have been ignored and told to be quiet. What if plan B failed, to Namikaze-sama, she asks. As Naruto smiled at her, that made her blush intensify as she could not keep eye contact with him. Well, the solution is simple, and the one I live by personally, said Naruto. If both fail, then create a plan C yourself. Improvise and try to cut many losses while trying to fulfill your objective. But never do so by abandoning a comrade. Sacrificing yourself is different, and forfeiting a comrade to the wolves are two different things. Understand the difference are, you are no better than bandits. Are my words and message to all of you clear? Yes, Namikaze-sama, all of them rang out. Good, said Naruto as he turned his gaze towards the fresh genins that had not raised their hands. I'm proud to see our young blood as a heart of gold. Look like the future of the sand is in safe hands. As all of them averted their eyes, being praised by someone of his stature, well, it was a lot. Well, said Naruto clapping his hands, we have the Chunin exam finals tomorrow. Now get your asses in gear and do some work. Dismiss, said Naruto. As all the forces made their way, quiet the speech, Naruto turned as he saw Gaara and Kankuro behind him. I knew that I made the right choice choosing you. As Naruto smiled at that as Gaara handed him a scroll as Naruto took it and placed it in his pocket without even looking at it. Well, you don't have to worry, said Naruto. I'll just keep on being awesome. Meanwhile, with Temari entered the resorts in her elegant clothing as she turned to the representative of the Chunin exam finals. As she started to greet them happily, the only person that she actually was glad to greet was none other than Sunady. Temari, I was looking for you, said Sunady. What can I do for you? Temari asks. You know, I've always liked you, said Sunady, confusing Temari by her statement. Her eyes then glanced down. And that's a really pretty ring. The design of it is quite interesting, said Sunady. Oh, Temari said, becoming a bit nervous. Thank you, Sunady-sama. And the delicacies of the stand are rather delicious, said Sunady, as she took a skewer, as she bit down. But yesterday, I visit, seemed to be a new restaurant in the shopping district, and I must say the food was rather delicious. Temari glanced towards her. She was also placing some food on her plate. Really? Now which one would that be, Sunady-sama? Sunady placed on an innocent look on her face. Well, it has a rather peculiar specialty, and I believe that it also originated from Konoha. You should know who I'm talking about. Ichiraku ramen, Sunady said in a low tone. Before Temari could speak, Sunady pulled her aside. They were around the corner now, out of everyone's earshot. Your ring. It has a shape of a nine-tailed fox on it. Naruto's favorite restaurant. Moved from Konoha to the Sand. After 30 years of business in there, and their business has started to boom. Those coincidences are just too much. He's alive, isn't he? There was a desperate look on the woman's face. Temari simply nodded her head, as Sunady pulled her into a hug, just wanting to hug someone. I knew it. I knew that he wouldn't die so easily. How is he? He's happy, right? As they broke the hug, Temari placed a hand on hers. He's here, Sunady-sama. And yes, he's very happy. He missed you dearly. You and Shizune-san. He really cared for you too. As Sunady felt a touching feeling in her heart. She hated what she had to do. She truly hated the past. But hearing that Naruto missed her, it brought a beautiful smile on her face. So, he's your fiancé, right? Sunady asks. No, he's my husband now. Sunady's eyes widened before she pulled her in a hug once again. As Temari could only chuckle as the woman hugged her tightly. Oh, he chose so well. Now I'm sure to have blonde grandchildren. As Temari blushed at that. Where is he? Sunady asks. I need to meet him, please. But, Sunady-sama, the gathering. Screw the gathering. They can all burn for all I care. I'm afraid that he's busy with the exams and all right now. He's handling the security. But I promise, you will see him tomorrow, one way or another. As Sunady raised an eyebrow at that cryptic statement. I promise, said Temari, as Sunady nodded. As she had a smile on her face. A smile that hasn't been there in a while. Finally, she would get to see him again. And she was so happy that he was now married. The little kid, a husband. All she wanted to do was see him and hug him. And tell him how much she missed him. And Konoha was not the same without him. That was all she wanted to do. And congratulate him as well. Time skip. As Naruto arrived home, unlocking the door and taking off his sandals. As he made his way to the kitchen to get a bottle of water. As he felt two slender arms wrapped around him. I'm sorry. Naruto pulled her around for her to face him. As her cheeks were puffy, her eyes seemed red. As Naruto could smell it. Have you been drinking? He said. As she hiccuped. Just a little, she said. As Naruto saw several bottles on the counter, he pulled her into a tight hug. You shouldn't drink so much, said Naruto. It's not good for you. It made me forget. Forget what? He asked. I felt so scared that you hate me after. What happened this morning? She said. As she started to cry a bit as Naruto simply ran his hand through her hair. He wiped away her tears. I could never, ever hate you. As she looked up towards him. I'm sorry. I just wanted to... It's alright, said Naruto. Trust me. As he looked towards her, with a smile on his face. He then picked her up bridal style. As she wrapped her arms around his neck. We'll talk tomorrow. You need to sleep this off, okay? Okay, Naruto-kun, she said. As Naruto kissed her on the forehead. As he placed the sheets over her. As she curled up in bed. Time skip. The next morning, Temari sat up to a splitting headache. As she held her head with a groan. Oh man, I drank too much. She then turned her head as she saw the empty bed. Tears came to her eyes. He didn't come home. He must hate me, she thought. That is when the door opened up as Naruto stepped in with a tray of breakfast. Her eyes widened. I'm sure you must be hungry, said Naruto. You know you should not drink on an empty stomach, or even drink that much. First, open your mouth, said Naruto, which he did as he placed a pill right on her lips as he gave her a glass of orange juice. As she drank it down and swallowed the pill. I'm sure that your headache will go away soon, said Naruto. But next time, don't drink so much. You had 7 bottles of sake. That's just insane, said Naruto. Actually, it was 10, she said. 10? Yeah, I had 3 at the party. As Naruto chuckled. You're not angry? Naruto tilted his head. Oh, I see. You don't remember last night. Last night? Well, I suppose you won't remember after all. You were pretty drunk, said Naruto. Slurring your words. Behaving like a big goof, said Naruto, as she punched him in the shoulder at that. Rather softly though as she looked up towards him, as Naruto smiled at her. About yesterday, he said. I'm the one who should be apologizing. I went overboard. It's just, there was a lot in my mind, said Naruto. And stupid of me to bottle things up. And I guess I exploded. Just a tiny bit. On someone I never want to explode on, said Naruto. And trust me, I could never be mad at you. As she looked down. But what I did, it's all forgotten, said Naruto. I love you. I love you too, she said. Now eat up, said Naruto, as Naruto started to feed her. Despite this being a little embarrassing, she actually loved it. She enjoyed when Naruto feed her. It just made them feel a lot closer. She truly enjoyed this time with him. It was wonderful. Time skip. The stage for the finals of the Chunin exams was set, as the buzzing of the crowd was exploding, as they want to see the young talents of their villages. The betting counters were going through the crowd, as several people were making bets. One half of the stadium was filled with only sand ninjas, and the other half was filled with ninjas from all over. This was one of the biggest co-hosting of the entire Chunin exams throughout all history. It was the first time the Big Five have decided to send their candidates. The daimyos and other dignitaries sat in their VIP booths as they looked forward at the entertainment that they were about to witness. Several envoys were hidden, as several of them were amongst the crowd as well, with plain disguises, ready to move at a moment's notice in case one of the problems that their commander foresee were to ever happen. Up in the stands, 4 of the 5 Kage sat in their seats, with their hat on their head, representing their village with pride. Everyone waited with bated breath for the Kazekage and the main host of the finals to start the exam. These young people, no respect for punctuality. I knew that he was too young to be a Kage. Grumble, the Tishikage, making Mei giggle. Oh come now, Tishikage-dano, she said. There is still time for the ceremony to proceed, and with the preparations that I've seen him made, he's shown that he's quite the capable leader. As the man grumbled that Gaara should be here before time, as the Raikage spoke up, I wish to see the talent that the Sand has been hiding. I hear they have trained quite a few capable shinobis, but the news has been slim since their defensive system has been upgraded. Sunady smirked on their hat as she remained quiet, as she wondered herself, could he be the announcer? Was that what Temari was talking about? As she waited with bated breath, as her eyes kept on snapping from left to right, trying to see that whisker face. So, Hokage-dano, aren't you curious as well? Mei asked, looking towards Sunady. As Sunady did not hear her properly, so she asked, Mr. Kage-dano, did you say something? She said, causing Ayo, one of Mei's guards, to chuckle a bit. As Mei turned towards him with a devilish glare. Ayo, shut up, or I'll kill you, she said. As the man's sweat dropped, backing away a bit. Meanwhile, within the Jonin stands, Temari stood in the stand in an elegant white kimono, with blue desert lilies at the bottom. Her shinobi equipment strapped to her thighs. She had her fan on a seal in her wrist, courtesy of her husband so she wouldn't have to carry the thing around always. But she had 2 small fans that was in her sleeves. that she could use at any moment notice, as she leaned on the railing with a soft sigh as she wondered where he was. He also said that he had a surprise for her, and knowing him, his surprises tend to go big. However, a frown came to her face. "Hey there, beautiful." She really hated that tone, the voice, everything that it carried, as she didn't even want to move to look at his ugly face. "Come on, why the long face? I'm here now, aren't I?" As he tried to wrap her arm around her waist. However, the glare that she sent him, but he still decided to proceed, until slash! Blood started to drop from his hand. The fan out of her sleeve, she quickly used it. She then turned to face him. "Keep your hand to yourself, Uchiha," she said. "No one touches me besides my husband. You understand that," she said. Her icy glare set on him as she placed away her small little fan. Husband?" Sasuke said, looking at her. "Yes, husband. I was married to my fiancé a couple weeks ago. Now shut up and keep your eyes on the stadium instead of me." As Sasuke was pissed off to hear that, his Sharingan coming to life. "Where is this husband of yours?" he asked. She looked at him with a raised eyebrow. "Oh, he'll be here soon." "What the hell do you want with him?" she asked. "Well, it's simple. I'll show you how much of a mistake you made, marrying that useless Sand Shinobi instead of an elite Uchiha. Then you will see for yourself that a princess like you belongs with me as the Uchiha matriarch. Don't worry, I'll forgive you for your mistake. I'll let you make it up to me." Temari looked at him like he was stupid. She wondered if he was touched in the head or something. "You just don't know when to quit, do you, Uchiha?" she asked. Sasuke looked her up and down. She felt like she wanted to puke. "Well, I can't give up. Not when the prize is so good," Sasuke said. "So," she said, "you wish to fight him?" Sasuke nodded, which made her chuckle. He was surprised by that reaction, as she chuckled for quite a bit before she calmed herself. "That I would love to see. I just can't wait for it. It will be priceless to see the last Uchiha get his ass handed to him and take you down a notch or two." She wanted to tell him who he really was, but she promised that she would not say anything as Naruto was going to reveal himself very soon, and she couldn't wait to see the look on all of their faces. Sasuke was shocked by her statement. "You think he can beat me, the last true heir of the Sharingan?" She laughed harder, much to Sasuke's annoyance. "Of course he can. Maybe your brother might be a good challenge for him, but you?" She trailed off in a giggle as she imagined Sasuke pulverized on the ground and Naruto not even breaking a sweat. As for Sasuke, he had never been this humiliated in his entire life. He saw how she found it hilarious, and she had the nerve to say that he was nothing compared to his brother. Just as he was about to say something, the rest of the contingents from Konoha came. Temari greeted them with a forced smile, as Sasuke simply went quiet. He really wanted to see this husband of hers, because he was gonna have her, even if he had to beat this husband of hers down into the ground. Every leaf shinobi there saw Sasuke that he was pissed off and the little killer intent that he was releasing. However, they also saw the glances that he was sending towards Temari. Sakura glanced down in shame and sadness as she saw the way he was checking out Temari. As Kakashi and Jiraiya walked up, they noticed that she did not even spare them a glance as Jiraiya coughed to gain her attention. "Temari-heim," he said, "I must say that the preparations have been done really well." As he tried to start a conversation, but all he got was a small nod, which made him sigh. Kakashi decided to make a conversation between them because they were told to talk to her and make her know how nice Konoha could be for her. "So, Temari," he said, "how is life in the Hidden Sand?" She turned towards him with a raised eyebrow. She clearly was not expecting a question, as she mulled it over for a moment. As soon as she thought of the desert, her childhood came to mind. But then, her wonderful husband came to mind. From changing her brother, and the point of capturing her heart, she just could not get enough of him. A pretty pink blush spread across her cheeks as she thought about him holding her. The last kiss that he gave her when they were leaving came to her mind, as a brilliant, beautiful smile spread across her lips. She also saw Gaara moving towards the Kage's box. "I love it," she said. "I wouldn't change it for anything in this world." As Kakashi sighed hearing that, as he also glanced up towards the box, up in the box as Gaara entered. Baki and Conqueror with him as his personal bodyguards. Sunady was the first to speak. "Greetings, Kazekage-dano. You are just on time," she said with a smile as Oniki grunted, begrudgingly, agreeing with her. Gaara nodded as he took his seat in the center, with me and Sunady to his right and left. "I'm sorry, but some last-minute talks to the council came up." They all nodded as they all knew of council meeting problem, especially Sunady. "No worry, you are just on time, Kazekage-dano. But I must say these are some of the best exams I've ever seen. Even though this is my first time represented as Kire, Representative Kage." As Gaara nodded with a smile. As A spoke up next, "Yes, I must say that you're showing that you're a strong leader, Kazekage-dano. I've seen the order and obedience, with all the proper conduct of the shinobis in the Sen, and I must say for one so young, you have kept your forces disciplined, like they should be," the man said with a hint of respect in his tone. He always thought that shinobi should view their leaders on how they should be. He was a strong leader himself and he respected the young man to have trained him so well. "I really am grateful for your compliment, Raikage-dano. But it isn't me that has kept them on such a tight leash of respect and order." All of them raised an eyebrow on hearing that. "What do you mean? You are the Kazekage, so you lead them. Isn't it so in your case?" Oniki asked. As Gaara simply smiled and nodded, making their confusion more greater. "It is as you say, Tishikage-dano, but I've taken off a lot of burden from myself to take closer looks in the diplomatic damage that my father has done." Mei was happy that San was trying to accept their past mistakes. She would do it too, and if necessary try to forge a new way towards a new alliance to strengthen their weakened village. "I do not understand, Kazekage-dano. What do you mean taking an awful lot of burden?" A asked. He always liked things to be straightforward, so he was getting a bit conflicted by the confusing words on what he was talking about. "I have handed over the control of my shinobi forces, including the Envoy Corps, to a new military commander who has been appointed by me and in favor the council as well. He still reports to me and he has to gain approval of the council, and most military affairs are handled by him, personally shedding off my burdens tremendously." The group was surprised by that. So much control, even if you watch over him. "Is that really wise?" Oniki asks. Gaara simply smiled. "I trust him, the council trusts him, and most of all, he has the respect of my forces down to the last man. They will follow him into war if he said so, and his loyalty to this village is unquestionable." Sunady was the one to speak next. "That is some trust and loyalty to have in such a favor, Kazekage-dano. He must have done something quite impressive to have such a trust from you." Sunady couldn't think of a single person that she could place in that position in her own village. None. Yes, over the past 3 years he has become a vital part of this village, going through the ranks like they were just a step upstairs. Gaara was glad that they were all talking like this, and he didn't mind giving out trivial information if it helped them solidify trust between one another and become neutral, even if not allies. After all, this information has nothing to do with the security of the Hidden Sand, and it was nothing that they could use against them. "You said over the past 3 years. Was he not a part of this village before then?" asked me. "No, Temari found him on the verge of dying in a small village in our lands when she was on a simple mission. She brought him here and I offered him a position in our ranks. He accepted, and after rigorous training and after many actions to strengthen this village, he united all of them and has gained the respect of everyone here today." Gaara said with pride. Everyone was now more curious than the other. A was curious in one thing though. He must be quite strong then. He is the best that the Sand has to offer, and I have no shame to say in a fight, I am no match for him. His skills is way above my own, and as long as he's here, I am secured. Even while away from said village, that the village will be safe. Now that shocked them. To have such respect and strength that even was over the Kage, and yet the respect came with it. A knew the strength that a Jinjulke had, and he had full control just like his brother, so this person must be quite the man. However, as for Sunady, she was taking in all of the information. 3 years ago, Temari found him. Gaara trusted him so much. He changed so much. It must be It must be him, she thought. Naruto's accomplished so much. That brought a warm smile to her face. She had no doubt about it. Gaara saw her as their eyes met. As he sent her a smile. Now she was sure of it. It seems like she understood. Where is this man you speak so highly of? I would like to meet him, A said. You will see him within a few minutes, after all. I've appointed him as the proctor of the finals. As they all nodded, as Sunady glued her eyes towards the entrance to see him before anyone else. As Gaara saw the time as he got to his feet, he channeled Chakra to his voice. People from the sand and our esteemed guests from various other nations. As everyone turned their gaze up towards the box. This year is the first time in history that the hidden villages have come together to all have our genins perform in a Chunin exams. Today will be the day that we show each other the prowess that our village has to be whole. So please give a round of applause to show your support to your prospective genins. As there was a lot of whistling and clapping as the genins down the stadium glanced around. So as the 5th Kazekage of the Sun, I, Gaara, declare the finals of Chunin exams to begin. As many cheers could be heard. As Gaara raised a hand stopping them, seeing that his image was being projected on the large screen. Well, before the cheers again, we cannot have a finals without a proctor, now can we? As several people start to laugh at that. So, for this year's finals, I call upon Naruto Namikaze, our very own military commander and my dear friend, as a proctor for these exams. Everything went silent. On the visitor part, the Kages were also silent as well. Sunady's eyes were still intensely focused on the entrance. As Mei glanced towards Gaara, Did you just say Namikaze? She asked in disbelief. A and Oniki's eyes were widened. As Gaara nodded his head and glanced down, the gates opened up as a man walked in. He was almost the exact replica of Minato Namikaze, the man who had struck fear in the hearts of thousands, hundreds of thousands of shinobi in his time. Clad out in his blue cloak, his 3 whisker marks on his cheek standing out rather pronounced. As Naruto combed a hand through his hair, several girls in the stadium eyes widening at how handsome he was. It can't be. The Tishikage whispered in complete shock. Was this the reincarnation of Minato? Minato Namikaze. As several people start to shout, Namikaze-sama! Several girls, he's so hot. Look, he's so cool. He's a proctor. Man, I wish I was a genin this year. Naruto-sama! Leave Temari-sama and marry me! Naruto! Naruto! There was many talking and cheering from the crowd as they ran through the sand part of the stadium. As for Temari, as Naruto glanced up, seeing the look on her face, the urge to slaughter several individuals. However, she saw Naruto looking at her, as he simply gave her a wink, which brought a smile to her face. As for Sasuke Uchiha, he was frozen, like completely frozen. There was no movement. His heart almost seemed to stop as well. If he did not need to survive, well, he'd have probably been dead by now. As he started to beat once again, Sasuke couldn't believe it. As he heard what the audience people said, he saw the look on Temari's face, he saw the wink. The dope was still alive. And he was married to the Sand Princess. But what really caused his ire and envy was the respect. The amount of respect that he was getting from the people. Why can't he, an elite Uchiha, ever get such respect? Why did the loser that he caused to be thrown out of the village was getting all of this? He looked at Temari as he saw the loving look in her eyes, that warm loving look that he knew deep down she would never give him. What the hell have you done to earn such love and respect? He asked with a clench of his fists as he glared down at the blonde. As for every other elder jonin, as well Jiraiya and Kakashi as well, their jaw was on the ground. The secret about Naruto's birth was kept a secret, for one thing. The only person that knew about it was Hiraishin, and the document that he had in the scroll that he gave to Sunady that she gave to Naruto upon his day of leaving. That was the only document of it. That means no one knew about that, except for a select few. Not even Kakashi knew. Despite Naruto facial features and hair, well, people can be blind in time of sadness, and he had just lost Minato and Kushina, so they didn't know, and Hiruzen did not find it necessary to tell him. So all of the information was kept in a scroll that was handed off to Sunady that was gave to Naruto for him to find out everything. How could I be so blind? He's Sensei's son. Started out Kakashi in disbelief. How did he find out? Jiraiya said, he being one of them that know. You knew? Kurunai yelled out, followed by Asuma and Guy as well. They all responded at the same time with a yell. Sakura had tears in her eyes as she looked down, looking down towards Naruto. He was still alive. He was still alive. As soon as she saw him, she tuned out every single word that was said. Now he could come back with her. Come back to the village. Something really terrible happened between her and Sasuke, given the fact that she was no longer obsessed about him. But now Naruto was back. He could come back with her. Meanwhile, Lee and Neji was smiling, as Lee was being stopped by Neji from jumping down there and giving Naruto a smile and hug of the springtime of youth. However, Kiba asked a question. Hey, who is this Namikaze fellow? I thought that Naruto's last name was Uzumaki. Was he adopted or something? Idiot, Shikamaru said, as he looked down towards him. You were always troublesome, Naruto, but on top of that, you now gone and married another troublesome blonde. Troublesome, he said. What? Said Kiba. I mean, who is this Namikaze fellow? How should I know? He said. Have you never been paying attention in history class? Like ever? Shikamaru asked. Would you get to the point already, Nara? Sasuke said. He too having no idea who Namikaze was. Not many people spoke about Minato's name after all. It was always Lord Fort, the Great Fort, or the Yellow Flash. The one to speak up was Sakura, always being good in history and class overall. Minato Namikaze. That's the name of the fourth Kage, she said. Several of them got wide eyes in shock hearing that. Exactly, Shikamaru said, looking down there as well. Sasuke clenched his fist in rage. There is no way a clanless loser, a dead last like him, can be the son of the fourth Kage. That caused Nara ear to frown at him. Well, if you didn't know, Uchiha, one has to have proof and legitimate claims to take over as such. A powerful lineage. It is clear that he was able to provide those to the Sand Council and the Wind Daimyo before taking up that name officially. You should know the charters of clan law more than anyone, noble Uchiha, Shikamaru said in a sarcastic tone. However, they were all interrupted. There is no way I believe that he's a son of Minato Namikaze, a rival of mine, and one of the few that I respect in the Hidden Leaf. As Naruto glanced up towards the booth, the one who had shouted out was none other than A. Believe what you will, he's my father, and I'm his official heir, said Naruto. Before C or Daru could stop him, the Raikage leaped as he crash landed in the arena. Then I'll just see if you are his son or not, he said, gaining terrified looks from everyone as the two Kage level shinobis steer each other off. Wind rustled through the area as there was so much tension. The highly buffed Raikage threw his hat to the side as he worked out the kinks in his body. Naruto stood calmly, as if there wasn't a Kage who just had challenged him. Raikage-sama, said Naruto, this is not the time or the place for a battle of the caliber that you're looking for. I expect you to realize the damage it will cause to the stadium, and no doubt the disruption that will take place. The Raikage pondered his words for a moment before a smirk came on his face. Why? Your father was never scared of a battle. Are you really his son? He taunted Naruto as he released his chakra. The ground cracked under the man, as everyone could feel the Raikage's power emanating from him. I say it again, Raikage-sama. There is no need for unnecessary violence. The man's body was encased in lightning. A moment later, Naruto sighed. Very well then. If you wish to see, I'll finish it quickly, and then we can get on back with the exams. The Raikage quirked the eyebrow at hearing that. You've got some nerve to believe that you can take me down. But I appreciate a man that is not afraid, even with someone like me standing in front of him. As Naruto simply ignored him, his lightning sparked, Full power, he said. His hair stood up, blazing. His whole body was crackling with more intense amount of lightning. The ground was being torn apart. However, a moment later, Anvus, their blades encased in wind chakra, arrived, pointing their blades towards the man as they surrounded him. But the Raikage did not spare them a glance. Anvu, stand down, said Naruto. They looked towards their commander. They did not hesitate as they vanished away. Naruto held his hand out, poof. He grabbed the kunai that appeared from his wrist as he twirled it. Another one appeared in his left hand as he twirled it. The Raikage eyes keenly focused on them. Yes, that's it. Now you're taking me more seriously, so-called son of Minato no Mikaze. Let's see if you really are anything like the man who you claim to be your father. The Raikage crouched a bit before he blazed off, running towards Naruto with blinding speeds. As he held his hand out, rushing towards Naruto, everything seemed to slow down as the Raikage was moving towards him. The Raikage was moving so fast, and yet Naruto's hand was able to reach up in the air, throwing one of the kunais. The Raikage blinked as Naruto's eyes were watching him the entire time. Shock written all over his face, but he already reached. Lariat, he said, as his arm outstretched. Boom! There was an explosion right where Naruto was, as everyone's eyes went wide in the audience. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see the next part and do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other series, a brand new movie over an anime prince of What If Naruto was sent to the Adventure Time universe. So go ahead, check out that and enjoy guys. I also post a brand new episode of What If Naruto was born 6 years earlier with the Monkey-Don and Sharingan. So go ahead, check out that and enjoy guys. And remember, if you're new, don't forget to turn on that bell notification to see exactly when I post, because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace out.